Reversed signal. The highway wound through the mountains like a black ribbon, slick from the rain that had fallen earlier. I was alone in the car, headlights cutting shallow slices through the night. The air smelled of wet asphalt and pine, the wind pushing thin sheets of fog across the road. My tires hummed steadily, a solitary rhythm in the silence of the valley. It began as a glint in my rearview mirror, a taillight small at first, then growing. I blinked. Another car, solitary, following at a distance I couldn't gauge. Its red glow reflected faintly on the wet asphalt, faintly brighter, then dimmer, like it was breathing. The first anomaly appeared minutes later. The car ahead signaled left, or so it seemed. The amber light blinked, but backward. Each flash rewound itself, fading and reappearing in a manner that defied timing. My pulse quickened. I slowed. The signal paused, then resumed, seemingly aware. Faster when I sped up, hesitant when I braked. My throat tightened. The road ahead and behind had changed subtly. Mile markers repeated, inverted. Guardrails bent at impossible angles. Shadows from my headlights lagged behind my car in ways that made the curves of the road look like folds in space. The vehicle ahead moved, then paused. Not just driving, existing. Sometimes it drifted sideways, tires sliding along invisible lines, then jerked forward, too quick, too deliberate. Reflections in puddles twisted backward, showing the car closer than it should have been, then farther. I whispered aloud, trying to rationalize. Maybe it's fog, rain, a malfunction. My words sounded thin, swallowed immediately by the rain and asphalt. The blinking signal pulsed again, backward, forward, backward, as if counting, calculating. I dared a glance through the windshield. The lane markings shimmered, wavering like heat on concrete. Trees leaned toward the road, their tops bending unnaturally, blocking the moonlight. I realized the signal was no longer just a signal. It was a conversation, a reaction, a measurement of me. As I drove, my hands tight on the wheel, I noticed more. The car ahead sometimes appeared simultaneously close and distant, as if its existence spanned space. At a curve, I saw it reflected in my rearview mirror. Then immediately, on the left side of the road, taillights pulsing in perfect reverse, as if another version of the same vehicle had been folded over reality. I accelerated instinctively. The light blinked faster, the reverse motion more urgent, almost impatient. I braked. It slowed, almost considerate, like it was testing how I reacted, probing the edges of my perception. Every instinct I had screamed to turn, stop, call someone. But the road itself seemed to insist I continue. By the 4th kilometer, the car began performing impossible maneuvers. Tires never seemed to grip the asphalt, drifting sideways across lanes, yet never colliding with anything. When I followed its movement with my eyes, it sometimes vanished entirely, only to reappear exactly where I had feared it might be. My pulse hammered. My vision sharpened, every detail amplified. The wet shimmer of paint, the precise rhythm of the blinking signal, the echo of tires over wet asphalt. The environment reacted. Road signs repeated. Every mile marker looked identical, each tree mirrored in its spacing and shape. My headlights warped slightly, bending as though the road itself were curving under my gaze. Shadows fell wrong, lengthened, twisted, lagged behind moving objects in impossible arcs. I tried to call someone, my phone trembling in my hand. No signal. The car ahead seemed to sense my hesitation. Its turn signal pulsed with renewed urgency, backward, then stuttered, then accelerated, forcing my eyes to follow it as the lane seemed to narrow and stretch at once. I shouted at it. "What do you want?" My voice bounced in the valley, returning to me in fragmented echoes. The signal flickered faster. I realized, in a gut-clenching moment, it wasn't just signaling left or right. It was communicating, calibrating my attention, dictating my pace, manipulating the flow of the road itself. At the 6th kilometer, the car performed a maneuver that froze me in place. It appeared to reverse in place, yet forward in my mirror, drifting sideways, flashing its reverse turn signal at intervals perfectly synced with my own heartbeat. The road behind me folded in impossible angles, shadows forming lines I had not driven before. My instincts screamed to turn, to brake, to escape. But the car, the road, the signal were in control. I understood then, it wasn't broken. It existed slightly out of sync with my perception, partially phased, partially tethered to the rhythm of my attention. Every time I blinked, it adjusted, always one step ahead, always calibrating. The blinking reversed light was not a direction. It was a measure, a pulse, a tether pulling me deeper into its loop. I drove faster, following the pulse of the light, my vision narrowing to the amber flashes and the wet glimmer of asphalt. The road curved impossibly, doubling back without ever intersecting itself, mile markers repeating in a disorienting cadence. Each blink of the signal aligned with my own movements, slow when I hesitated, urgent when I accelerated. The car ahead was teaching me a pattern, a rhythm I could not escape. The 7th kilometer brought a clarity that made my stomach twist. Through the rain-streaked windshield, I realized the car ahead wasn't just signaling. It was pointing, not left, not right, but forward, deeper into the highway, into the darkness, where the road's lines stretched thin, then disappeared. I saw now why no other vehicle had been here, why no other witness existed. This stretch of road was a corridor, a sequence, a channel through which only I could perceive it. The car began to dissolve and reappear at multiple distances. Its reverse signal pulsed like a heartbeat in my skull. I tried to swerve off the road, but the forest seemed to bend around the asphalt, branches curling like fingers to contain the lane. The pulse of the blinking light, backward and forward, became my only reference, the only measure of safe passage. By the 10th kilometer, I understood the truth. The car, the signal, the impossibilities of the lane, they were all a lure, a guide. The reversed light did not indicate a turn. It indicated timing, my perception, my attention, my synchronization. Each pulse counted me, measured me, prepared me. I followed the last flicker into a clearing, where the road opened onto a black void, the asphalt ending in perfect alignment with the blinking signal. My heart hammered as the car ahead slowed, paused, then vanished entirely, leaving only the reversed pulse echoing in my vision. I stepped out of the vehicle. The road behind me stretched endlessly, repeating, folding over itself. The blinking light gone. But in my mind, I could still see it, counting, measuring, marking the moment I became aware. The road didn't end. It never did. It had only been waiting for someone capable of seeing the signal in reverse. Someone whose perception could align with its rhythm. And I realized, with a cold certainty, I was the only one who could follow. Because the road chooses, and the reversed light is the invitation. Reflected highway. The fog came suddenly, a wall of gray that swallowed the forest road whole. One moment I was driving through the familiar curves of the mountains, tires humming against wet asphalt. The next, the world had vanished. Headlights cut shallow cones into the mist, illuminating only the immediate lane. Trees loomed on either side like silent sentinels, their trunks dissolving into smoke-thin shadows. I slowed, heart thrumming. The rain had stopped, but the air was wet, thick, tasting faintly of moss and cold stone. My breath fogged the glass as I exhaled, rising in little clouds that clung to the windshield. The engine hummed steadily, but the sound seemed amplified in the silence of the fog, echoing against nothing. Then I saw it. Pair of headlights parallel to mine. A car, perfectly aligned, its engine humming in sync with mine, but somehow off, slightly too fast, slightly too slow, a fraction of a second behind reality. My pulse spiked. I blinked. The fog wavered, shifting in the headlights like smoke curling against a draft, and for just long enough, the mist parted. There it was, another me, same car, same hands on the wheel, same sweat-dampened brow illuminated by the dashboard. Its eyes met mine, sharp, knowing, but something in the expression was different, colder, as though it recognized me but existed entirely apart. I slammed a hand against the steering wheel, heart hammering. What the hell? The fog thickened again, swallowing the other vehicle, leaving only my own headlights and the hiss of tires over wet asphalt. I swerved instinctively, expecting it to vanish, but when the fog parted the next time, it was there again. Always beside me, always parallel, moving independently. At first, it mirrored my movements. Brake, swerve, accelerate. We were synchronized, twin machines cutting through the mist. But gradually, it began to diverge. I would slow and it would not. I would hesitate at a curve, and it would lean forward, hugging the road, making choices I hadn't yet considered. Reflections on the wet road warped unnaturally. Street signs flickered in the fog, mirrored backward or upside down. Mile markers appeared to repeat themselves, identical and inverted, giving the illusion that the highway folded over itself. The mist formed shifting patterns, vague silhouettes, angles that hinted at something watching, calculating. I called out, "Hey! Who? What are you?" My voice felt small, swallowed immediately by the damp night. The double didn't respond, but I could feel it reacting. The fog shifted subtly as it passed, curving around it, refracting headlights into faint, ghostly halos. Each pulse of the fog felt deliberate, like it was guiding both of us along the same impossible corridor. The car's engine sound changed next. I could hear two distinct hums now, my own, steady, and another, offset, slightly rasping, resonating with its own internal rhythm. My ears strained to differentiate, and each time I blinked, it seemed to anticipate the motion, leaning toward me before I could even react. By the 4th kilometer, the road had become a loop of repeating patterns. Curves I remembered encountering a few minutes earlier appeared again, identical in every detail. Slick asphalt, reflected headlights, fog curling against guardrails. The double didn't just exist beside me. It was learning the road, reacting before I could, choosing paths I hadn't yet committed to. I dared a glance in the rearview mirror. Shadows moved in the periphery, too large, too fluid, as though the forest itself bent to accommodate this twin reality. Branches leaned across the lane as we passed, scraping faintly against the hood, then recoiling instantly. The fog thickened, forming almost letter-like patterns, hints of triangles, arrows, circles. Each time the mist cleared, the double adjusted, its movements subtly synchronized with the shapes, as if it read them and understood them before I could. Panic rose. I considered stopping. But what did that mean? Could I even stop? Each brake input was mirrored, then diverged, forcing me into an unchosen path. Accelerating only tightened the synchronization, the double anticipating every motion, every decision. The headlights reflected off the wet road in impossible ways, stretching and bending around the twin cars. I shouted, my voice echoing off the fog. "I am me. I'm driving this car." The double remained silent, expression unreadable. And yet, something changed. The fog seemed to lean toward it, folding around the other vehicle. I realized, with creeping horror, that the mist itself was part of it. Not just a cloak, but a medium. The fog responded, bending, curving, shaping itself around the twin, guiding it, feeding it awareness. Time became elastic. Minutes felt like hours. Every time the fog parted, it revealed the twin making choices I had not yet made. Taking curves wider, adjusting speed differently, turning the wheel with intent I could not comprehend. And I understood, stomach twisting, that I was no longer driving alone. At the 8th kilometer, the double shifted suddenly, pulling closer to my lane. I jerked the wheel to avoid it, but the car was not there. The headlights reflected only empty mist. A heartbeat later, it was beside me again, perfectly aligned, hands on the wheel, eyes locked to mine, yet impossibly older, impossibly knowing. The fog thickened, dense as wool, swallowing the highway. Headlights pierced just enough to see each other, faces illuminated in short bursts. My reflection on the windshield merged with its face. Two faces, one blurred, one clear, both me, both separate. The road ahead vanished, replaced with mirrored asphalt that seemed to loop infinitely, edges curling back into fog. Then it acted of its own accord. The double turned the wheel, entering a side lane that had never existed. The mist swirled behind it like water, forming a funnel that beckoned, patterns spinning faster, forming a spiral of fog and reflected lights. It looked at me and smiled, or at least I thought it did. A slight twitch in the corner of a mouth, impossible and alien. I hesitated, frozen. The fog pulsed, reacting to my pause. The double accelerated along the impossible path, moving into spaces I could not yet see, yet somehow already knew. Headlights reflected along wet guardrails that curved backward, folding into themselves, guiding the twin onward. I understood then. It was not a hallucination, not a reflection. It was a lure, a version of me designed to exist in a parallel lane of perception, waiting for my awareness to align with its own. The fog was not passive, it was the medium, bending reality to carry it forward. The final part came without warning. The fog parted completely, revealing the twin in full detail. Hands gripping the wheel, eyes fixed, breathing visible in the cold air. It did not blink. Its car aligned perfectly beside mine, mirrored in every way except intention. Then it leaned toward me, the headlights reflecting off glass wet with fog. And I realized the truth. I was meant to follow, to enter the path it had chosen, to merge, to relinquish control. The highway, the fog, the mirrored asphalt. It was a corridor only perceptible to one aware enough to see it. And I was the only one capable. I slammed the brakes. The twin did not stop. It drifted forward, through the mist, hand waving, beckoning, expression impossibly calm. The fog curled around me, cold, heavy, pulling me forward even as I resisted. Every reflection, every mirrored mile marker, every bend in the asphalt pressed me closer. The fog parted one last time. The twin waited, hands on the wheel, headlights bright and steady. I realized, stomach turning, that when it merged, it would not just guide me. It would replace me. And the moment I moved, the fog would close for good.